Okay, so hi everyone who's here watching us. So with me now is Kristina, and like this is our first time doing this Q&A live on Instagram,
Yeah.
and we're very excited. So basically, what we're gonna cover today, right, is really because of the circuit breaker extension, and then during this period where all of us are kind of trapped at home with our pet, working from home, studying from home, and we are also unable to go to our trainer, unable to go to our groomers. So we thought of coming together to just share, with our fellow pet owners, so that you can have some anxiety issues reduced, perhaps, or some questions that you have in your head. We try and assure you there, try and give you some help so that you're able to uh, ease back into work after the circuit breaker. So today's agenda is really a very simple one. We're going to cover two simple topics. The first one, which is managing post-circuit breaker separation anxiety. So a lot of us are at home now with our pets for a long time. And after circuit breaker ends, when we go back to work, our pets may suffer from separation anxiety. So Kristina over here will share with us a little bit more about what we can do now. Actually, we can start now, okay? Do some certain techniques or activities with our pups and try and get them into regular routine first. And then secondly, we're also going to share a little bit about grooming at home. Due to this circuit breaker period, right, we have no choice but to start to take charge of our pets' grooming needs on our own. And because of that, it might be the first time for some of us out there, and it can be very, very scary. But at the end of the day, we also don't want to traumatize our pets while we're trying to help them. So Kristina and I also will touch on that topic so that we can actually help you to see how you can introduce grooming procedures without traumatizing your dog. And then we will follow by a Q&A, and then we will wrap it up. So it will end at about 1:45, 1:50, and then we'll see. For those questions that we're unable to answer today, perhaps we can leave it to the next session, or we can answer privately. Yeah. So yeah, Kristina, yes. Maybe
Hi.
you can just introduce yourself to all of us here, and then of course how you do your stuff, and then we'll go into the first topic straight. Yeah.
Yes, so I mean, Desmond and I have known each other for like, I don't know, very long. We opened our shop at about the same month, right? About 6 years
Oh
ago, I
yes.
think. And we very
And we
often share the same dog student. So they'll go grooming at Desmond's place, and then they come to me for training, and then we work very closely together when there's any challenges. And now we have some times to talk. So like 2 weeks ago, we were like, hey, Desmond, my students are having issues. They are all like, the eyes are covered with fur. It's like, they really need grooming. So we were talking about what we can do. So we thought, let's try this. It's my first time using Instagram stories. So hopefully all of you can see me clearly. So as Desmond has mentioned, all of us generally stay at home the whole day, and our dogs has now get used to being with us all the time, and they're always by my side. One of my students even said that now that I'm home all the time, the dog actually doesn't leave her side. The dog follow her to the kitchen, even to the bathroom. Like, she has no privacy at all now. And the dog wasn't used to be like that. So what we can do now is make sure that your dog still have alone time. For example, if you're having a conference call, maybe take your conference call inside the study room, close the door, and let your dog have some alone time for a while. Of course, if you're at home and then they're not allowed to be with you, some dogs are not used to it. So they're like, why am I being shout out? Because usually when you come back from work, our attention is always on our dogs. So they may protest a little bit, or they may feel a little bit like left out. So we definitely don't want them to feel that way. So we can do a few things. For example, um, you know, put some treats inside so they can play a little bit. And There's a few toys that you can use here. I'll just fill up a treat so that you can see how Millie play with it. Hold on, yeah. So Millie is like sleeping now. So let me see. Yep, so that's Millie. So Millie, come. Maybe you can just give her a toy. Okay, Millie, go play. And then as she's playing, then I'm just gonna step out a little bit. Of course, you can do it a little bit longer, but you can see Millie's actually playing on her own. Right? And then you can
So
come
you're
back.
gonna be like in the room while she's doing her thing outside.
So you want to let her have some alone time, but of course we want those alone time to be associated with something good. We don't want them to feel like, why are you locking yourself in and you don't want to be with your dog? So we just want to make sure she's happy. So yeah, so she's happy with that. And there's a lot of things that you can do as well. You can, let me show you a few things. So this is called a leaky mat. So you can actually paste yogurt or peanut butter and you can freeze it. And while they're busy with like, you know, licking and getting things through, you can have your work done. So if you're still exercising, you can go down and leave your dog at home with these toys and then come back. Just make sure every day they have about at least 5 to 15 minutes alone time. And you can make it a bit longer as they get used to it. Okay, let me see if I missed anything. Yes.
So what you're saying is,
like where should you leave your dog? So if your dog is used to be left in the living room, you want to leave them in the living room and you go to a different room. If your dog is in the playpen, or when you're at work, you want to have them in a playpen. So you want to have as much similarity as possible as when you're not working. But don't like, today you leave the dog in the kitchen. But actually when you're away, the dog is not in the kitchen. It's usually doesn't work as well. So try to make it as much as possible the same as when you actually go to work eventually.
Understand. Let me just summarize a little bit about what you say. So you're saying that we already can start on some activity and some routines now that we're at home during this period, and trying to make these routines as similar to as if we were to go to work, so that when the time comes, they wouldn't feel like it's suddenly like a new routine again.
Correct.
So things like when we have our own work from home periods in our room, our own Zoom calls with our colleagues, we can do it in a room while they actually have some activities outside. So they still have some alone time on their own. And then the location where you let them have their alone time will be somewhere similar to as if you were to go out to work. So like for dogs that are usually in the playpen, you can just keep them there. For dogs that are usually in the living room, you can just keep them there instead of a different location.
Yep.
Right.
So that's
I think
absolutely
really
correct. So you can do this every day. You can do a few minutes a day, and you can gradually make it longer so that by the end of the circuit breaker, they're able to have that longer duration. I think the first 15 to 20 minutes is critical. Like they'll be the most like unsure the first 5 to 10 minutes, maybe up to 15 minutes. And after that, they usually settle. So it's important that they have something that can occupy them. And it acts like a pacifier really for dogs. So if the first 5-10 minutes they have something to do, and then after that they're a little bit tired because they have something to do and then they settle, then the next 1 or 2 hours usually will be okay until they wake up and they're like, okay, now I'm really bored. Yeah. So that's what you can do.
Right, understand. I think that's very helpful. You know, for some of us though, when we go to work, right, you know, post circuit breaker, we don't really have any like particular activities that we do with them. Like some of our dogs are just used to, you know, they just used to the fact that we are going out for work already, you know. So for dog owners like these, how would you recommend like gradually introducing the activities to help them manage the post-circuit breaker separation anxiety.
Do you mean like activity that they can do alone or activity that they
Yeah,
can
something
do
like
with the
that.
owner?
Do alone, because some dog owners, right, they are really used to just leaving without giving their pet any toys or any treats. So like
Hmm.
this period when we're just going, we're going away, but we're giving them some activities. Will it does it matter, or do you have any comments or thoughts about this scenario?
Yeah, so you do want to first uh, try to have the activity and the toys when you are present with your dog. First of all, you want to see whether the dog can tear apart the toys and swallow the bits and pieces. And this highly
Makes
differs
sense.
from dog to dog. So you just have to you want to know whether it's safe for your dog to play with the toy. And you also want to know whether the toy is too difficult for them, right? If it's too difficult, they get frustrated and then they start barking and barking. And then it's like they get frustrated and it works against what we want. So
Yeah.
if let's say you're using this and then freezing it is too difficult, they get frustrated. Maybe the first time don't freeze it, just apply some dog friendly peanut butter or yogurt and be there. The other thing is you just want to make sure the toy can't go underneath the sofa, for example, because I know some of them, it goes underneath the sofa and then, uh, hold on, yeah, something is going on. Yeah, it goes underneath the sofa and then the dog can't get it. And then what will happen? They can either bark, or they can chew the sofa to get to the toy. So just want to make sure things cannot get trapped in areas that they cannot get, and that's also important. And the other thing is, of course, you don't want to associate that the toys is always associated that you are leaving. So you also want the toys to be present when you are there. So it doesn't mean, oh my God, she's taking the toy, it means she's going to leave. So you want to build that value that playing is fun before you actually leave your dog alone with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like we cannot just go to the store or go online and just buy a new toy and then just expect them to be able to do what they need to do. So we ourselves need to take effort into understanding the toy, into like being there and playing with them with the toy, and letting them associate the toy as something fun and happy to play with first,
Correct. Yeah.
before we gradually ease into the activities that we can do.
Hmm. And I see a question here. Is it more beneficial to do a lot of short alone time every day or do a long one? So when you start, you always want to make sure you don't throw them into the open sea. You want to make sure you have it's a shallow water. Just if you're teaching a child to swim, you want to have a shallow water. You want to have your protective float. So the same thing with teaching a dog to be alone. You want to have very short duration. If 5 to 10 seconds is all they can, just start with 5 to 10 seconds. Tomorrow you can try 15 seconds, and then you can go longer and longer depending on how your dog deal with it. So it's better to do shorter duration, but more times, and you can slowly increase the duration.
Does that answer Barbara's question?
Is there any other question?
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions regarding this first part about the things that we can do to manage post-circuit breaker separation anxiety, what we can do now so that we can ease our pup into the regular routine even after we start work after circuit breaker? Yeah, maybe just give a minute more. If not, after this segment, let's move into the next. Anything else to add before we move on to the next topic?
Let me see if I missed anything.
Yeah. So we actually have a question from April. She's asking, does age make a difference as to what we were talking about just now?
Um, Age could make a difference, but it's also more about the habit of how that dog has been. So if a dog is used to for 12 years that someone is always by their side, it will be a lot more difficult than a dog that, you know, it's a puppy and then just they've only been left alone for, let's say, they haven't been left alone for, I say, 2 weeks. They always have someone. It's a little bit easier. It's just like human. It's much easier to adapt to changes when you are younger than when you are older. It doesn't mean that it cannot be done. You just have to be more gradual. And you have to be more empathetic that, okay, if a puppy, maybe we can do a little bit faster, but with an older dog, you must give them time to adapt and change. But it doesn't mean it cannot be done. But of course, if the problem, whatever the problem that your dog is having, it's something that needs medical attention, meaning it's not just they're bored or they are protesting, but they are really having a panic attack or something, then it's something that you have to talk with your behaviorist or dog trainer before you do anything, because that's something clinical. Okay, if there's one more question, Barbara said, if my dog was fine when left before CB, why would that change? So it's because your behavior changed. Because your behavior changed, your dog expectation changed. Before circuit breaker, your dog expectation is, okay, she's gonna go from 8 to 5, and then I'm gonna see her at 5:30. But during the circuit breaker, their expectation has gradually, maybe the first day they're like, she's still at home. Is she on leave? That's weird. The second day, oh, she's at home again. Then by the end of 2 weeks, they're like, I think this is the permanent situation. Yes, I'm just gonna be like this all the time. So because the expectation changed, yeah, it's becoming like a new normal. Like how in the first week of circuit breaker, we're like, oh my God, I need to go out. And after 2 weeks, it's kind of like, fine, I think this is life now. So that's how it is for our dogs as well.
So the dogs kind of
it's
adapt
not uncommon.
fast.
They adapt pretty fast, and I think it's something that is positive to them. So of course they take it, when it's something positive, you hope and that will happen, and that's the new norm.
Yeah, that does make some sense. Should we answer one last one before we move on?
Sure. Which question do you want to answer?
Which one do you feel like answering?
Okay. I think there's one from Life of Sophie. We should always leave that toy around and not just take it out when we want to train. So I'm not sure what training she meant, but it's not about leaving that toy around, but you don't want to particularly associate that toy with something that will happen that's not pleasant. For example, you always take the toy and then you shower the dog, and showering is not something fun. So eventually the toy will become a predictor that, when this toy comes out, even though it's fun, after that we'll follow with a shower, right? So you definitely want to make sure it's not always that sequence. You want to have a different sequence, like, you play when you're watching TV, sometimes you play when we're having a meal, and occasionally it could happen that's before a shower, but it shouldn't be always the sequence. But you don't need to leave the toy around all the time. Just make sure it's not associated with a particular situation that your dog doesn't like.
Yeah, we do get a little bit of that situation at the grooming studio as well, to the extent that, sometimes some pet owners, when they take out the treat, the dog gets scared already because they know, something negative is going to come.
Yeah, so of course the right thing to do is, if let's say they're afraid of shower or they're afraid of grooming, you should do a proper desensitization, which we will get into after this. And that, for example, a nail clipper, you should show the nail clipper first, and then the treat will have to come after. If the treat comes first, like, okay, let's get all the treats out, and then the nail, then give the treat, and then the nail clipper comes. What happened is like, oh my God, every time she takes out that treat back, they're gonna cut my nail. And dogs learn this pretty quickly. So it's a good question.
It becomes that trigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
and
so I
that's not what we
think
want.
you can.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. All right. What I'm saying is, the last thing we want to happen is that when you take out something tasty, they get scared.
Yeah, because you keep pairing it with something bad is gonna happen. It's almost like every time you give me chocolate, then someone slap me on the face. Every time you give me chocolate,
Oh
and then
God.
someone slap me on the face. After that, I'm like, please don't give me chocolate because if you give me chocolate, somebody is gonna slap me on the face. So it
Yeah.
can work both ways. You can associate it with something positive, but you can associate it with something negative as well.
So you're saying to only give the positive reinforcement after whatever, or during the
After a
display of
stimulus
the
is presented, yeah.
after
After
stimulus is presented.
after a trigger is presented, and it has to be very mild. So it's, for example, if a hair dryer is carried for the dog, maybe instead of switching it on and blowing it, we're gonna use the lowest setting. Just switch it on for 1 second, and then the dog get a treat. 1 second, and then the dog get a treat. And now the noise of the blow dryer has become a predictor that food is coming. And you don't want to do it for like 1 hour. You do it for like 3-4 times, and then you're done, so that it's not too much for the dog.
So it's like kind of like the accumulation of good experiences and accumulation of the stimulus at a low level, being a good predictor for the treat that's coming.
Yes, so the two-factor is association with good thing, and then also how intense is the trigger or stimulus. So you don't want to present the dog with the maximum level of stimulus. You want to have the very low level that your dog can handle.
Okay, I think that's good for us to cover already. Let's move on to the next topic, the second one and the last one today, before we go on to the Q&A, because we only have about 25-30 minutes left. Okay, for all those watching right now, right, the Instagram video ends at an hour. So the Instagram video will automatically be cut off at about 1:55. So let's cover as much as we can cover today. You can get as much away as possible. And for those questions that we have yet to answer, right, we will have them in mind, and we will come up with the answers for those. So just stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, let's go on to the next topic that we're going to cover today, which is grooming at home. So all of us here know that now that we are all at home, grooming training is not an essential service, okay? Fortunately or unfortunately, we have to take charge of certain parts of that, which can be scary for some of us, especially if we haven't done it before, or we haven't been doing it well, or we know that our pets clearly don't like it. So Kristina and I will try. Yeah.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Or both of us? Okay, let's see. Anybody? Can anyone just say if they can hear us? Okay, it looks like they can. Yeah. Okay, so let me get some treats. Yeah, so I have different treats here depending on how the difficulty level that I will do with my dog. So Neely is not really scared, so I'm going to use a lower value treat, and I'm going to keep the higher value treat to pay her when it's a difficult situation. So for everything that we're going to introduce, you kind of want to see how many elements the dog need to be exposed to. For example, for this shaver, the visual. Okay, so with this, how many elements? So first there's visual, then there is the noise, and then there's the vibration, right? So if you introduce all at once, your dog is going to like, is that a drill? What is that machine? And of course you may say, but my dog is fine at the groomer. Yes, but the groomer is very good at what they're doing. They're fast. They don't, hesitate, and they know how to hold your dog properly in a way that make them, more safe. But for us, well, at least for me, when I first have to shave my dog, I'm like, oh my God, am I going to, cut my dog? And then I'll be like shivering, then I'll be like, doing all these things like, and then the dog is like, what are you doing? My groomer, it's usually not like that. So you want to build your own confidence as well as the dog, right? And you're going to do it together. Millie, come. Here, Millie. Okay, so I guess can you see Millie? Down, Millie. Okay. Yeah, so the first thing you want to do, and because you're now at home, you don't have to do, like, you don't have to groom everything. Desmond can do it in 1 hour, but we cannot. So we're gonna do one thing at a time, slowly. And you don't, for example, today you do the nail, tomorrow you do the sanitary trim, the next day you clean the ears. You don't have to do everything at one go. So for example, this shaver, visual, good girl. So your dog may be slower, and like when you show this, they may be like taken aback. It means it's too near. And of course, for Millie, I've done this many times. So different dog will have different taste. Good girl. And then now I'm going to switch it on. So if I switch it on, do I present it so near? Will that scare the dog? So we always have to think, if someone presents this thing very near to my face, how am I going to feel, right? So maybe you should just far away, treat, and then switch off. Then a little bit nearer, and then switch off, right? Then there is the feeling of vibration and also the metal. So the first one, I would probably just let Millie feel this, and then give a treat. For example, Millie is not, like, she doesn't really like me to touch her, like to meddle with the paw so much. If I do it quickly, she's fine. But if I keep like holding it and then trying to get different angle, then she'll be like, can you do a better job, you know? So that's also, Millie also has its own problem. And it's not because she's a bad dog. We all have things that we don't like. For example, do you like to be tickled on your feet? Of course, it's not aversive for the person who tickle you, but if I don't like it, then it's aversive to me. So you have to think about what is aversive to your dog. And also what's rewarding for your dog. If treat is not rewarding, then you have to find other things that can make her happy or that's reinforcing for her. So it could be toys, it could be food, it could be attention. So now I'm just gonna lift up because I've done all the 3 steps. And remember, when you do it at home, this may take a longer time. I'm doing this faster just because we have limited times. So I'm not gonna cut all of it. I'm just gonna, good. And then I'm gonna give her a treat. And for the first section, that's actually enough. However, if you need something to occupy her a little bit longer, there's a few things that you can do. And I'm gonna take something from the fridge and I'm gonna come back. Okay, so I'm back. So I have this here. So what is this? It has a suction cup behind, and I have applied yogurt here that I have frozen. And of course, again, if your dog doesn't like yogurt, then don't give yogurt. Or if your dog has a bad reaction to yogurt, don't give yogurt. So you can apply anything that your dog likes. You can apply canned food that they like. You can apply dog-friendly peanut butter. So make sure it's like no salt, no sugar. And you can also, okay, let's see if she like it. You can also apply anything, like if they like, oh, they can't hear you? I can hear you, Desmond. I'll just show you what I can do. So you can apply this to anything. It can be your door or anything. Lily, come. See, what's this? And see, and she's licking it. Yeah. So that video, although it looks fun and for that particular dog, it's okay, but I don't recommend it because your dog's mouth is very near to your face. If you by accident cut the wrong nail and then it snapped, it's very near to your body part. So you can do it like this. And if you don't have anything like that, you can also, use some collapsible bowl. Just apply something, freeze it, and maybe put it on a chair for them to lick while you're doing things. For example, like this, then I'm like, just practice a little bit. Then let me lick again. So it's very useful because you have both your hands. Good, go ahead, Millie. Oh, can everyone hear now? Yeah, but anyway, even if you cannot hear, this is, you can see it's very easy, and you can, you can cut the nail, you can do shaving while the dog is doing that. And you can also put it in your shower, like the bathtub or the shower glass door. You can place it anywhere, or at any door, really. You can just place it there. Okay, so I'm ready for... Okay, they say now they can hear Kristina, but they cannot hear you. Yeah, I think the next one we'll try to make it better. It's just we're quite technologically challenged at the moment because it's the first time we're doing this. But yeah, you can see this is actually very good, and you can start to just start to touch the nail and then let her. So the reinforcement is quite immediate, and you still have both your hand free without juggling the treats and everything. And I can show you. Yeah, so I can show you how this can be applied too. Okay, I'm going to show you the door, right? So I can also put it on the door maybe. So you can put it on the door as well. Yeah. Here, Millie. Okay, let me just check if I missed anything from the topics, because I think after this, Desmond will do some technical thing on how to, hold the arm correctly to make sure, like, if you lift it too high, then actually it's straining their shoulders, and you don't want to do that. So after this, Desmond is going to go into that as well. But yes, so can you just let us know if you guys can still hear us, or you can only hear me but cannot hear Desmond, because after this we have to pass it over to Desmond. So first, is there any question for this one? Millie is still busy over there. Okay, there's one question about trimming nail. I think this one we may cover it in the next session. We can take note. Yeah, they can only hear me. Desmond is still mute. That's weird. Because I can actually hear Desmond. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see anything as well. Or if you want, I can repeat whatever you say. That's also possible. I'm talking to Desmond now. Yes, so Desmond will, so I'm covering how we can make the grooming less traumatizing or less scary for a dog by using small steps and also associating it with something positive. Of course, all of this depends on your dog's fear level. If it's extremely fearful, you have to do a much slower pace and you cannot be too ambitious and like, I think we can get it done. Yes, you'll be able to get it done at the time, but the next time your dog will run away. The same thing, like the first time they go to the vet is fine, but if something like unpleasant happens, then the next one not gonna come in anymore. You just have to make sure you don't want to push it too far. So now for Desmond, he's going to how to hold properly and how to hold the shaver and how from which angle to shave the dog. So a lot of my students ask this as well, and I think he's going to show. And because you cannot hear him, I'm going to repeat whatever he said.
Yeah. So before we actually go into any grooming process, you want to understand about the paw first.
Your camera is lagging, Desmond.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, maybe to a different bit lagging now. Okay, better. Yeah, much better. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's better now. Oh, they can hear you now. They can hear both. So now you can speak. Okay, internet connection issue. Yeah, thank you. They cannot hear you anymore, Desmond. Yeah, it's okay. I'm just gonna repeat whatever you say. It's weird. So I'll be the speaker. Okay, so he's showing a picture now. So it says this is a picture of a paw, and usually the paw hair grow this way. So we have 3 strands of hair growing from A to B. And the most optimum way to do it is to shave it from the opposite direction. So yeah, so if the hair growing this way, you shave it that way. So Chocolate is Desmond's dog. Yeah, I don't know. Both of us should be able to talk, but I'm not sure why it's giving some issue. Okay, hi Chocolate. Yes. So you want to lift up the leg like how they're walking. So if they walk and lift up, that's the way you want to lift up. You don't want to lift up like the other direction. Yeah, so just gently lift up a little bit. Yeah, so you can use your forearm to support because some dogs couldn't really balance on 3 legs. So he's going to show up close up. So someone is helping him with the camera. I'm alone here. Okay, now you can see the paw. Okay. So you can see the paw, the hair is growing that way, downwards. So you shave with the shorter setting and you trim the opposite way. Hold the shaver like a pencil and then shave it opposite way. So most important thing is you want to expose the individual paw pads so that when they walk, they have traction to the ground. So for your chocolate, it's actually good enough. You can see all the paw pads are exposed. Is there any question you can ask? I will answer it. I will repeat whatever Desmond says. So if you have any topic that you want us to cover, you can also put it in the comment and we'll take note and see who has the most interest in which topic for the next one. Okay, so there's one question. It says, what trimmer do you recommend to buy? And what is the setting? What setting is a shaver for on the paw pad? Well, I mean, most trimmers do a decent job, right, Desmond, I think? Yeah, so he's nodding, so that's yes. And I tend to use those that is quieter and have less vibration. So let me show you. For example, this shaver, I find is quite quiet, and you can compare. This is louder. And you also want to feel how much vibration it costs. Some of them vibrate more than the other. But you also don't want it to be, now they're selling this really small shaver. I find sometimes, yes, it is smaller, but it just take longer to shave. So that's what and also your own skill. You want to practice first until you are comfortable before you actually cut your dog nail trimmer. For example, for me, okay, Desmond can agree or disagree. Sometimes I just use my hand and then I just I can feel how it feels and whether it's causing any pain for my dog. So yeah, is there? So for the paw, you use the shorter setting without the glider. Okay, so Desmond is saying, but for a dog who has sensitive paw, you try not to scrape the skin, so you stay away from the skin and try to just cut the hair instead of touching the skin of the paw pads. I think is there one more question? Yeah, I know you cannot hear Desmond, so I am talking, I'm repeating whatever he says. So I'll show them the glider maybe, so that they know what is the setting for. So like you have, this is the shortest setting, means it's just bare, and you can actually put on the glider so that to make sure you don't cut too short. So that is the line that you're gonna cut. But for the paw pad, because you do want it to be short, you have to use it a bare one. Okay, there's one more question. Is there a risk of cutting the puppet during shaving? I don't dare to go too much in the gap. So she's asking, should she go inside the gap? And will that, cause some discomfort for the dog? Okay, so this one, right? So this one is what did you say just now? The comb. Yes, and then the other one, sorry. And this is the cutting blade that is alternating. So you can see there's two blades there. There's one blade over here, and then there's one blade here. So skin or fur? Fur, right? Okay, so the blade is gonna cut anything that goes into this comb here. So if either it's skin or fur, if it's able to go through this comb, it will be cut. So I think that's what's the risk. Yeah. So for the puppet area, yeah, so you just want to expose the individual paw beans. Okay, so what she's saying is you just want to expose the individual pet, so you don't have to go in. As long as you keep it flat and just expose it, you will not cut the skin. Hold on, yeah, I have a... So this is the pet, you want to cut flat. You don't want to cut into the pet, because when you cut in, it's possible that the skin will get into the comb, and then it will be the risk of causing some wound to the paw. So yeah. There's one question said, do we need to moisturize the paw pads? So it doesn't crack lah. So yeah, so Desmond is saying he would say yes, especially because if the paw pads are too dry, it will have cracks, and then it's like our feet, I think. And of course, they're using their paw. They don't use shoes, so they need their paw to be well for as long as it can. So the moist will prevent to have cracks, and crack is the one that's make the dog uncomfortable when they walk and may cause further injury. Am I right? Okay. Okay, so that's all for today. So to summarize, we cover in the beginning about how to make sure the dog can be home alone post circuit breaker. So again, small portion, let them be alone with a toy that they like. Of course, they need to know how to use the toy, and they need to already have good association with the toy. It has to be a toy that has a goal, so it cannot be a toy that they don't like. something that has a goal that they can get treats out of it. They can take, some toys has two parts, you have to take it out. So it has to have a sense of achievement for them. And after that, I also went through what we can do with introducing grooming equipment. So every equipment, you have to think about what are you exposing the dog to. The visual, if there's any noise, the noise, if there's any vibration, also the vibration. And you have to make sure the distance is far enough initially so that your dog doesn't get scared. Like if the trimmer is here, I'm okay, but if the trimmer is here, actually it's a little bit scary even for me, right? So you have to think about that as well. And then there are some things that that can help you. Toys like this, you can freeze and put it on a bench so they can lick it while you're doing grooming, so that you can do a little bit longer and they still have, they can focus on something else rather than just focusing on, oh my God, that blade is near my paw now. This is also a toy. You can also put things inside and freeze it. It's like a dog popsicle, and this would take about 30 minutes or so maybe for them to finish it, depends on the dog. And then Desmond also cover like what's the right angle. So you shouldn't lift up too high. You have to think about how they walk and how usually they move their body part, and that's the right way to lift up and shave the paw. Then he also talked about, you have to shave against and not the same way that the hair is growing for it to be effective. Okay, I think that's all. So you guys can just type and say, or even after this, you can just put it, message Desmond if there's anything that you want to cover. We're probably gonna do this again, maybe in a week or so, and it will be good to have ideas on what topics we should cover. Yep. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's a few topic already. So I'll discuss with Desmond now what we can do. So thank you very much for joining us, and just let us know what else you would like to know. Bye.